So I've been running for years upon years now, miles upon miles, but where did it all begin? Let's go ahead and rewind. So the first run that I can ever remember doing is way back in 5th grade. I did a mile race. And this mile, I never really trained for a lot. I mean, I was 10 years old, so I just went out there, had fun, and I ran 6:47 alongside my brother, who was also doing it at the time. So a year after that, I started to race the 10K. I ran the 10K, Monument Avenue 10K, one of the biggest races in Richmond. I ran it in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. 4 years, and I got faster every year I developed, I got stronger and stuff, but I never really trained until 8th grade. But in 6th grade, my first ever year of running the 10K, I broke 1 hour. I ran 59:33, which is 9:35 pace. So, you know, now that's a walk in the park. It was slow. It was my first ever 10K. It was a long distance. I never ran that far. But the next year, I came back and I ran 53:26, which is a minute faster per mile. It's about 8:35 pace. And so we were getting a bit faster. Again, I still wasn't really running. And this was in 7th grade. And the whole time I was really devoted. My brother was beating me by several minutes in these races. So I wanted to get better. So at this point in the video, the wind started getting really bad. So we're just going to go ahead and resume in my college apartment. So as I was saying, in 8th grade, I ran it yet again, and this was my best time yet. I ran a 45:46. That's about a 7:21 mile average. So things were looking up for sure. And then my final year of running the 10K, I ran it in 9th grade while I was doing high school track. So predictably, my time is going to be a bit faster. I managed to run a 42:06, which equates to a 6:46 overall pace. It is actually still my official PR in the 10K. So now that we've talked about those 10Ks, let's get into organized running. So in 8th grade, I ran 1 year of middle school track. This was my first experience with the team, and it was awesome. I loved having people to compete against, and I raced the 800 every single event and ended up running a PR of 2:37. Obviously, 2:37 isn't that great, but at the time, I wasn't really running too much. It's middle school track, and it was a great time. But after that, I skipped cross country my freshman year just because I wanted to get transitioned into high school. But I did run one road race. I ran a 5K in 20 minutes and 44 seconds, which was, I think, a PR at the time. But leading up, I eventually ran for the first time with Deep Run, my high school team, and it was a blast. My first ever race, I ran a 5:46 mile. Remember it clear as day. And of course now 5:46 is not as great, but at the time I was like, oh, I'm gonna be so fast. And all throughout freshman year, I was dropping time. I think I ran 5:32 my second race, 5:20 my third race, and eventually at the end of outdoor my freshman year, I managed to break 5 in the mile for the first time. I ran 4:58. That race was one of the hardest of my life, but I managed to pull it out. And so I was sub 5 freshman year. Things were looking up, and then bad things started to happen. So as you probably know if you've been watching this channel, I was diagnosed with diabetes summer between my freshman and sophomore year. It really put a crack in my morale. I didn't think I was going to really be able to run at all anymore. But as it turns out, sophomore year cross country was by far my best season of cross country I had. I was able to run 18:11 as my PR in the 5K, and actually it was my PR until I got to college. So I don't really want to spend too much time talking about my high school career. It wasn't great. My PRs ended up being 4:52, 18:11, 10:47 in the 2 miles. So I didn't have the best high school career, and it's more about what I learned looking back at high school that applies now in college. I mean, I peaked sophomore year in the 5K. It's my senior year, I was running in the high 19s for a 5K, which was absolutely ridiculous. But luckily, high school did end on a good note. My final race of my high school career, I was in the 800. And it was just such a great race. I knew I was ready. I'd been doing good workouts and stuff as I built up mileage throughout the year instead of over summer. And I managed to run 2:07 in the 800, which looking back is probably my best PR from high school. So that was a super great race, really validated myself as I was gonna go into college, and I thought my career was over. So going into college, I didn't really think I wanted to compete. I was done. I didn't want to do it anymore. It was just beyond me. After my failure senior and junior year, I was just done with the sport. But I got a month into college or so, and I was like, I really miss it. I really, really miss competing. So I decided I would do club running, but I was out of shape. I hadn't really been running in the summer, hadn't been running in the fall, because again, I thought I was done. I thought that was it. My career was all over. But I ended up running 31:52 in the 8K, which isn't great. It's like 6:22 pace overall per mile. But yeah, that was cross country. I ran 31:52. It was all right. I had some bad races, of course, but who doesn't? And then going into track, I actually got really focused again. I was like, I want to be good. So my goal was sub 4:30 in the 15, which is like a 4:48 mile. And I didn't have the mileage. It was all about the mileage. I've talked about that in past videos. Mileage is so important. And I ended up running 4:40 in the 15, which is a 4:58 mile, which isn't terrible, especially looking back and seeing what kind of shape I was in. I expected more though. And that's when the biggest change in my entire running career came, was last summer. And this last summer, I've made a video about this. I'll link it right up above, right here. And that's when I upped mileage. I was like, I am done with this. I want to finally just be good at this sport and actually be able to run fast and up to my potential. So I set a goal. I was like, I'm gonna PR by 2 minutes in the 8K and break 30 minutes, which is a 6:01 mile pace. And so my first race in cross country, I ran 29:17, but it was a short course. Converted, it was like 30:30 or something. But I was right there. I was right there, and for the first time in my running career, I could taste it. I was actually gonna hit my goals, unlike what I did throughout all of high school. So the next race was, again, kind of a failure. It was the fastest course we were gonna run all year. I ran 30:17, and I think it was the mileage that was killing me. I still needed to taper a bit, but it's all part of a season. You don't do well the first couple races so that you can do well the last couple. And finally, we get to nationals. I still haven't broken 30. At this point, I'm like, I was really starting to doubt. I was like, I put in the work this summer, and why isn't it paying off? I really thought I could do this. And for whatever reason, tapering, motivation, anything, I was able to run 29:05 at nationals and just absolutely destroy my goal of 30 minutes. So that was great. I was on top of the world. I raced at Philadelphia again. I'll link that. That was a great race. Ran 29:20. And yeah, those two races were great, and that's the last time I raced. That Philadelphia 8K was the last time I've raced, and now we get to present day. And I've been grinding. I did 60 miles again towards winter break and stuff, and I'm gonna run the 5K tomorrow. I have my first track race tomorrow. I'm super excited, but I've set the goal of breaking 17 minutes in the 5K. Which, if I look back at my high school PR, it's more than a minute faster than what I ran in high school. But with all of the training and all of the stuff that I know now that I didn't know in the past, I think I could do it. Maybe not tomorrow, but by the end of the season, I really hope I'm gonna be able to break 17. Okay, so if I take a step back and think about my career and all the places I've gone, I have 3 really key takeaways I get from it. 1, running is one of the best sports in the world. The people the process, those two things are what make me love this sport. My best friends in the entire world have came from this sport. I wouldn't trade that for anything. Also, the process. It is the best feeling knowing if you put in the work, you will get better. Which brings me to my second point. My second point is you get out what you put in. The more work you put in, the more mileage you do, the more core you do, the better you are going to be. If you want to slack around and not really put in the work that you need to, you're not going to be good. It took me 7 years to learn this, which is just unbelievable. What you put in is what you are gonna get out. And for some reason in high school, I never knew that. I didn't realize that I was putting in no work at all, and of course that's what I was gonna get out. So, the more work you put in, the more you're gonna get out of the sport. And finally, my last point here is that consistency is everything. As with anything in life, running relates to life so well, and I gotta make a video on that sometime. But consistency means the world. Being consistent is everything in track, and as long as you're consistent, you can expect consistent results, and you should know what you're gonna run. But those are my 3 points that I've learned from just running in general the last couple of years. And that was my whole career. That's what I've been doing. That's my whole running life right there. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed looking back, finding those old photos, and reminiscing about what my running life was. So that's gonna wrap it up for the video. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you guys with a new one soon.